Welcome to another Pastor's Chat with Coley and Tonks.
Hi everybody, how you going?
We're now under more restrictions, sadly enough.
No.
It's a shame. But you might be wondering, do they have to wear masks now at church? Are we going to have to listen to sermons with masks?
No.
Fortunately, the answer is no. For the purpose of streaming and video, so if you see musos not wearing masks, if you see us preaching without masks, that's completely okay. It's one of the exemptions. It's part of it when we're doing these sort of purposes. And I'm grateful for that because
but we are doing the right thing
as
we're going around town, and
so we make sure
whatever. But
when we leave, if you come and have to see any church things, we will have our masks on and all of those. So we're making sure we follow that because it's a good way to love people, isn't it? It's a good way to follow the rules, follow the laws. I'm not stoked about having to wear it everywhere, but
but as we keep in mind those who are vulnerable, and we've certainly got, even within our own church, quite a number of people who are vulnerable.
Very much so.
So we want to care for them as much as our neighbours and others who we may not even know, but they are vulnerable people.
That's it. And today we're chatting just about the latest lockdown, because it is a bit of a kick in the guts. It's a lot of people calling it lockdown 2.0, and we just want to address that a little bit because a lot of people might be feeling really anxious now. Might be a lot of fear,
frustrated,
disheartened. Might be a lot of bitterness as well. I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, there's no cases in Mildura," and there's a real anger with that.
I feel it's unfair.
Exactly. So we've got to really think about how we respond to that. Think about how we react. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today and just talk about, well, what now? How are we going to go? What's it look like? Because our next 6 weeks, again, are going to be locked up. They're going to be away from a lot more people. We were allowed to have 20 at church. We could have Bible studies running and back to Zoom.
Five people to conduct services. Yep. Not allowed in each other's homes again. Only those who are in the home itself. Lots of
other little restrictions that you might not be sure. You can only exercise in groups of 2. So so
and be grateful though that we are only on stage 3.
That's it.
You know, we've got a lot of people in the city, Melbourne City, that are on stage 4. It's far tighter, so we can be grateful still.
Got a friend I've been texting. They can only go to the shops for an hour, exercise for an hour. They can't go out between 8 and 5 a.m. That's right. So it's crazy. So we've still got quite a lot of our freedom. Yeah. How did you feel when the message came through on Sunday?
Oh, a bit kind of winded, frustrated, a bit annoyed. But we've got to get, as a whole state, as a whole community, we've got to get on top of this coronavirus and get back to 0 infections across the whole state.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's it. And it was a bit of a downcast message or something. Saying, oh, great. I know we just got youth group going. We'd had 3 weeks of youth group and we're starting to gain momentum.
1 week of Adventure Club last week.
But that's just, it is what it is the way I look at it. We've just got to keep going. So what sort of tips are you thinking that we need to implement?
Well, we certainly got to make sure we don't give up and we don't lose hope. We don't lose faith. So we wanted to just share maybe a few little tips, a few little ideas to encourage one another about maintaining the faith and what can we do at this time with another 6 weeks of stage 3 restrictions.
That's right.
So the first thing, and these are going to be fairly obvious and we've shared them before, but we've got to keep praying.
That's right.
We mustn't stop praying. We need to pray for our leaders. Josh and I are very quick to say we need your prayers as we continue to run our services, as we continue to provide care under these restrictions. As we look forward, we really, really need and we highly value your prayers. So you can certainly pray for Josh and myself, pray for our elders, pray for Josh Tonkin and Adele as they're seeking ways to continue to bless our children, pray for all of our deacons, pray for our church leaders.
That's right. Pray for people with anxiety, and they talk about, especially even pray. I'm talking about single people this week, but pray particularly for them. People that live alone, people that don't have people that they can talk to each day because of the restrictions.
We've got some vulnerable people in our church who are living on their own, widows or widowers, others that for whatever reason they may be on their own. With these restrictions and not being able to have a friend into the home, you can't go out and sit in a cafe together.
No. Exactly right.
It adds to that loneliness. It adds to that, sometimes that sense of despair. So we really need to pray for those people.
So prayer is hugely important. Someday it's one of those cases, even when you don't feel like praying, I think, and you can be a little bit bitter maybe, don't let that stop you. Just keep praying.
And we've also got a lot of health workers in our church.
We do.
Doctors, nurses, aged care, carers, receptionists. They are being run ragged. Speaking to one person who's got a very high profile job at our base hospital, and saying that the hours that he's doing are just absolutely ridiculous at the moment, adding with the transition from Ramsey into state, but then all the corona stuff. It's really doing it tough. I know because my wife Coley is a medical receptionist, and she's doing long hours, extra shifts, people coming in, a lot of fear, people sometimes getting angry, and so having to deal in those situations, it can be very, very difficult. So we need to be praying for our health care workers for whatever area they are in.
That's it. So important. So we can pray. What else? What should we do?
Well, we need to share.
Yep.
We need to share our content. So we are absolutely committed, aren't we, to continue to provide quality content every Sunday for our services while we can't meet in person. We've been doing now for, I think someone said this is our 13th week of lockdowns and restrictions.
This is our 16th Pastors Chat.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so episode 16,
so share. It's so easy to do, isn't it?
It is very.
There is that little share button under every video. Share it with your family, share it with your friends.
We're going to continue to equip you with more videos, more social media stuff so that you can share, particularly over the next 6 weeks. We want you to know that you can share this quite easily. Yeah, I'd recommend go back to our Not Afraid series during this, because we preached that coming into our first lockdown, and if we had to preach again on the lockdown, we'd probably say the same thing. So go through, have a look at that for inspiration.
It's all there. Like I was talking with my mum yesterday, and she's been meeting with a friend who's been really struggling with some depression and some other anxiety issues within her life, and just sitting together having a cuppa out, as having a walk, sitting together, and she just said, "Oh, my son Andrew, whose church has these online services," and shared it with her. And then she rang her later on, and she'd gone home and she'd watched a number of those services already. So you don't know how you may bless that family member, bless that friend, bless that neighbour, simply by sharing with them our online content. One of the, as I said, one of the previous sermons, our current sermons on relationships, future sermons we're coming up into September. We're going to be going through the 23rd Psalm, a real much loved Psalm. We're presenting these messages, trying to come up with messages that help bring hope and peace and faith and comfort. So you never know the blessing that one of these messages may be to your loved ones.
That's right. And what's the harm? You'll never know the power of something when you share it. And who might click on it? Might be someone you don't even know that's a friend of yours on Facebook. Yeah. And they might click on it, and you never know. Yep. Sowing seeds.
Also want to encourage you to continue to give. It might sound a little self-serving when, as ministers, we ask you to give, but we want you to see beyond anything to do with whether it be for a wage or to pay a bill. But we want to encourage people to serve God, honour God, by continuing to give.
That's right. We want to come out of this just as well equipped as we did before this to preach the gospel in Sunraysia. We want to be able to reach people in great ways. So
it can be tempting while we're not meeting in person at church. It can be a little bit tempting to sort of think, well, when I get back to church, then I'll start to give again. But we need to continue because we are providing this content. We're seeking to provide care, pastoral care, whatever we can as a church. We're still conducting weddings. Right. You did a wedding last week.
I did a wedding. Yeah.
I've got a wedding next week. Yep. I've got a funeral this week that I'm conducting. So we're still doing our regular ministries. Yeah. So we do need you to continue to give so that the church is able to continue flourishing.
That's right. So, we don't want life to stop. We want to set ourselves up for during this pandemic and after this pandemic. Yeah.
And there's lots of ways that people can give.
And there's going to be another video that we'll link below into here, but we're talking about a new exciting way you can give at this church. So hopefully making it easier for you, particularly while you're not here, to be able to give.
So keep an eye out for that. A new program called Generous. It's going to make things much easier.
It will. Excited about
that. So if you've got questions about that, get in touch with us about giving. It's very important.
So what else is there?
We want to encourage people to be reaching out to one another, staying in contact with one another. While we cannot be in church, while unfortunately even our connect groups, our Bible studies, KYB groups, social groups, while they have to go back into recess again for a little while, we don't want people to stop that connection.
No.
Phone calls, emails, even just a simple text message. Don't you love it when you hear your phone ring, you look at your phone, and it's just simply someone texting you saying, "Hey, praying for you today. God bless you today, thinking of you today, have a great day, something as simple as that.
That's right.
And you go, oh, wow, that's fantastic.
That's it. So many ways to continue to connect. We're blessed to be in the time we are. Yep. Don't know how they got through in the Spanish flu pandemic that this keeps getting compared to.
I mean, we've got so many resources there.
It just would have been.
So we can stay connected.
We're quite lucky, really.
So think about someone who may be vulnerable, someone aged, someone who perhaps you've heard isn't well or is struggling with fear, whatever it may be. Right. Give them a call, give them a text, whatever it may be, to lift their spirits. Stay connected, stay caring.
You can still go for a walk with people, I believe. Only one other.
Yeah, one other.
If you really feel that you can't do it over line, meet them somewhere for a walk and go for exercise. Stay within restrictions, but just that walk. Go for a walk down the river and then go home.
Yep.
At least you're seeing them.
Hey, let's meet down at such and such and we'll go for a 2-kilometre walk or whatever it may be. And good idea. We also want to encourage you through all of this to stay hopeful and stay faithful. Don't give in to fear. Don't give in to that worry. Don't give in to the conspiracies. Man, haven't we heard some crazy conspiracies that only build and create more fear?
They do.
Don't allow the current conditions, the current situations to chip away at your faith by remaining perhaps in isolation or the fear taking over, the worry taking over, but rise up in faith. Right.
Fear can be contagious, but so can that confidence. People can get hope from your confidence in Jesus and confidence in not fearing.
Yep.
And it helps inspire them, where fear just continues to spread and pull us down. We need something to build us up in this world, don't we?
And it's often in these difficult times where people may look to Christians. They may not be Christian themselves, they may have no interest, but they may look to a Christian. So, well, how are the Christians responding in this time? Are they just as fearful as the rest of us? And if we are, well, what's that saying about our faith in a God of the impossible if we're just as fearful as the next person?
That's right.
Or if we're dropping our bundle, or if we're pursuing those crazy conspiracy theories rather than remaining faithful and hopeful. So it can be a witness to our workmates, to our neighbours, to our family, and we can really hold on to our faith and hold on to hope.
That's right. That's right. So important.
There's a lot of Bible verses that speak to this, and this is probably one that's a bit of a favourite, and many of us know it, but I thought it'd be worth sharing, and that's Psalm 46, verses 1-3. God is our refuge and strength, our ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way, the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though the waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. That message there, we will not fear. I wonder if David was writing that today. He might be saying, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though a virus is spreading across our nation, though our government has put us into restrictions, we will not fear.
He wrote that one when he was being chased down by Saul, didn't he? From memory. So he was actually, someone was coming to kill him. Yeah. That was his job. And he wrote that when he was,
under great threat.
Yeah, exactly. Literally going to be murdered, where I think we're a bit better off than that, aren't we?
Absolutely.
So if he could say that then.
Certainly are. We certainly are.
I've got one from Job. And this is in Job chapter 9. I've just been going through Job, not for any reason, just because it was up to where I was in my reading plan. And this stuck out to me. And it's in Job 9, 32-35. And Job, just for those, he's just having the worst time of his life. His kids have been killed. He's got all these skin sores. His wife died as well. His whole everything. If you think you've had a bad day, just read the first 2 chapters of Job. And he goes on and he's wrestling with it. But he says this in 32. He is not a mere mortal like me that I may answer him, talking about God, that we might confront each other in court. If only there was someone to mediate between us, someone to bring us together, someone to remove God's rod from me, so that his terror would not frighten me anymore. Then I would speak up without fear of him. But as it now stands with me, I cannot. And he's a bit worried because he's all this bad stuff's happened. He's like, if only there was a mediator between me or God. He's frightened. This was written before Jesus came to the world, and he was actually pointing to Jesus in the way this is written. You see Jesus come up in the Bible all the time, in the Old Testament, you see it pointing to Jesus. And we've now got a mediator between us and God. Yes. We've someone who's come in, and he says that we don't have to fear anymore, Jesus, because fear not, because I have overcome the world, which you shared in our favourite Bible verses. I think you shared that one.
Yes.
And we need to remember that our hope's in Jesus. It's not in a virus. It's not in anything that's happening. It's not in restrictions. It's not in the government, but it's only in Jesus. And he's conquered the world, and sometimes we just need to be remembered where our hope is.
Yes.
And the reason we don't fear is because of Jesus. And it's so good that we've got a mediator.
Yep. One of those new songs we just started to learn before we have gone into the shutdown time, and it was touching on that Jesus is that fourth person in the fire, and it's drawing back to that story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or as I like to say, his shack, my shack, and a bungalow. But there is that story there where they were thrown into that fiery furnace, and as all the soldiers and the others were looking, they go, "Why is there 4 people in the fire?" And that fourth person was Christ, the Son of God, in that fire. So Jesus is with us.
That's right.
In this time of trial.
That's right.
The frustrations, the worries, the fears that we may be feeling, the apprehension, the unknown, what's happening next. Jesus is here, and Jesus is with you.
Exactly.
So draw hope from that.
Exactly.
He is that mediator, that one between us and God.
That's right. That's right. So I hope that's encouraging for you. I hope you've seen what you can still do, and I hope for the next 6 weeks that you can hold out, that you can just look for that hope after 6 weeks, think about how good it'll be after that.
Yes.
And let's just pray that this virus time will be over soon.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining us this week with another Pastor's Chat.
Yes.
And we'll see you soon.
God bless you all.